Welcome to this week's midweek musing for Wednesday the 15th of April. If a politician, maybe the Prime Minister, had stood up in the Houses of Parliament at the beginning of the year and said that everybody's going to have to stay at home, nobody's allowed to go out apart from for very specific reasons, there would have been uproar. People would have been speaking about the deprivation of liberty. Lawsuits would have been brought to court. People would have marched on Parliament. Headlines would have been written about a police state. People would have been talking about, but I need to get my children to school. I need to go to work. There's this holiday I want to do. There are places I want to go, things I want to do. It would have been an absolute and total shock. And people would have complained deeply. But now, 4 weeks after a lockdown was introduced, it's something that we're just seeming to accept. It's the new normal. It's a new way of living. And most people seem to accept that this is right, it's reasonable, it's the good thing to do at this time. We hope it doesn't last for long. But at this moment, we're willing for those liberties to be taken away, even as we look forward to a time when they are restored again and we can go out and do the things that we want to do. But what many people don't realise is that the freedoms that they enjoy are actually an illusion, that there is something deeper, something more significant going on. And Jesus speaks about this when he's with a group of people. And it says this in John chapter 8. Very truly I tell you, everyone who sins is a slave to sin. The wrong things we do drag us down into a pattern of sin, of wrongdoing, of things that we know are not right, of things that separate us from God. And the more we do them, the more we are trapped by them and we cannot escape. And that's what Jesus is saying. There is a deep underlying problem that whatever freedom we think we have on the surface, underneath, there is something that is holding us tight, that is not letting us go, that we can't do anything about. But Jesus goes on to say that even though we can't do anything about it, he can. And he says this: if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And Jesus is saying that there is an escape from this bondage. We don't have to be held by it. We can be really free. This is not about whether we can avoid the restriction and go out and travel when we want. We are under exactly the same constraints as everybody else. But as God's people, it is talking about something much deeper and much more significant. The fact that deep down, we have been set free. Paul speaks about this when he writes to the church in Galatia. And in Galatians chapter 5, he says this: it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. But he goes on, stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. Christ has set us free. Let's recognise that. Let's receive that. Let's rejoice in that. But let's also recognise the danger of being dragged back down into those things that are wrong, those things that are unhealthy, those things that are not of God, and being caught up in it again and not taking hold of the freedom that Jesus has made possible for us. Let's rejoice. Let's live in this freedom. Some questions to think about. What is your response to Christ setting you free? What does this freedom mean to you? How do you guard against being dragged down into wrong behaviour? How can the reality of this freedom help even in the current situation? May God bless you as you rejoice in the freedom that Jesus has made possible for you.